Good morning, one and all. Today we are going to discuss a topic called discourse analysis as a research method, an introduction. This seminar is done as part of the refresher course on research methods conducted by UGC Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, Marathwada University, Aurangabad. Now, discourse analysis is one of the significant research methods in the field of humanities, especially literature. Let's discuss what are some of the basic foundational ideas of discourse analysis. Now, the first thing, what is a discourse? It's a term which appears to be quite familiar, but which has got very different meanings. The term discourse itself has multiple meanings actually. It may be, when we use the term discourse, we may mean uh, talking about a spoken word or to all utterances, written and verbal, or to a particular way of talking or dealing in a specific domain with its own particular vocabularies and sets of meaning. For example, the kind of discourse there in the legal field, which we call as legal discourse, or the kind of discourse in medical field, or the kind of discourse in scientific field or academic discourse. All these appears to be different kind of discourse. And discourse, in another sense, may also refer to a specific set of statements within a given context, which can be called as a regulated practice, which accounts for a number of statements. For example, religious sermons, the kind of religious speeches, or fairy tales, or news reading, or seminars, speeches. On all these, we can see there is a specific way in which the particular way in which a language is used. So, discourse, they simultaneously make certain utterances possible while suppressing others. Discourse also produce different kind of truth claims or effects. So, what is that we doing in discourse analysis? Discourse analysis is concerned with the investigation of language, both written and oral, as it is actually used. Discourse analysis is not concerned with an abstract system of language or the structures of language, because discourse analysis focus on the actual use of language. As we know that we typically consider it as a medium of communication, but language is what enables us to shape our perceptions, our relationships, and even our perception about society. Discourse analysis in this context dwells into the actual use of language, and it tries to reveal its nuances and impact. Discourse analysis considers language as an invested tool. So, what do we mean when we say language is an invested tool? It means that a language is not a neutral tool for transmitting a particular message. Rather, all the communicative events that is created by language constitute a particular way of talking about and understanding the world. For example, a poem or a play or a speech or a novel, a science paper, a legal discourse, a judgment, a news reading, a news that appears in newspaper, a story which appears in children's magazine. All these in one or another, or the kind of conversation that takes place in our households, all these are in one or another manner is a particular way of expressing a reality about the world. So that is for both the producer, maybe the writer or the speaker, and on the part of the consumer, the reader or the audience. So, discourse analysis references both a theory of language use as not neutral, but consider language as invested with meaning, invested with a particular ideologies, invested with different thoughts, and as a method for analyzing language in use. So, discourse analysis considers language as not neutral. It says that language carries meaning, and in that sense, it influences. So, what we say and how we say it reflects our perspectives and our intentions. Discourse analysis, a major concern is regarding this. So, now what are the components of discourse analysis? Discourse analysis has mainly two components. Discourse analysis involves examining patterns in language use, one, and second one, how language functions as an activity. For example, when you use language, we know that we use a number of personal pronouns when we talk about something, or when somebody writes something. We can see people using different kind of use noun, use pronouns. So this shows something about the language that you use and your perception about the particular thing that you are talking about. Then another aspect is about the language function as an activity regarding the kind of verbal space that you give. Example, imagine a conversation that take place in a familial situation where the parents are talking to children. So what amount of verbal space is given to the children, what amount of verbal space is given to the wife, what amount of verbal space is allotted to the grandparents, what amount of verbal space is taken by the father or the house owner, we would say, or what amount of verbal space is allotted to male and female. All these appears to be quite significant. So, what is the purpose of discourse analysis? The aim of discourse analysis is to produce an analysis or explanatory critique. Discourse analysis seeks to explain how language uses is invested and how it affects us. By analyzing the lexical, grammatical, and semantical features, we gain insight into its effect. So, discourse analysis in that sense is trying to link language use and the socio-cultural practices. It helps us to understand how language both reflects and shapes our society. Discourses not only conveys meaning, but it also shapes our understanding of truth and reality. For instance, fairy tales and sermons have distinct truth claims and expectations. So the way in which you give a religious sermon or a religious speech is entirely different from the way in which you give a you narrate a fairy tale. So there are certain kind of subject positions and boundaries in a discourse. So violating these boundaries can lead to discomfort. And the interesting thing about discourse is that we are so much familiar with each kind of discourse, so that we consider all these boundaries and the subject positions as quite natural, and only when they are violated we are aware of these kind of boundaries, and the way in which it was, we are aware that it is violated. So this naturalization reinforces boundaries and reinforces the status quo. What discourse analysis is doing is that when you analyze a discourse, we find that there are different kinds of discourses. A dominant and alternative discourse may be competing for influences. So, discourse analysis is a trying attempt to engage critically with the discourses produced by dominant institutions, because a language is a very important agent of power. Discourse analysis attempt to engage critically with the discourse produced by dominant institutions, because language is not just communication; it's a tool of power and control. Dominant institutions use language to create and change our perceptions of the world. There are different kind of dimensions about discourse. One theoretician, Fairclough, had given distinguishes between two kind of discourse analysis. One is discursive from non-discursive dimensions of community. So when you have a discursive dimension and you have a non-discursive dimension. Discourse analysis considers not only what is said but also how it is said and in what is its impact. It tried to critically engage with the text produced by institutions to reveal their influence on our world. The notion that discourse is both constituted by and constitute the socio-cultural world is a significant idea or behind discourse analysis because the language that you use is not just only a reflection of your thought or society. It actively shapes the society itself. The way we talk about and understand issues has a profound impact on our culture. So discourse analysis focus on actual language use. Discourse analysis examines real world languages, not abstract. It considers a context in which a language is used, providing a deeper understanding. Language plays a significant role in reinforcing power dynamics. Discourse analysis tries to uncover how language perpetuates or challenges societal power structures. Language discourse analysis acknowledges the potential for change and transformation because the demand that discourse analysis should be concerned with a critical examination of language in order to promote change. Because discourse analysis is not just an observation, it's a call to action. It tries to uncover the way in which a language creates and shapes the world. It encourages critical examination of language to bring about a positive change. Discourse analysis, in that sense, is dwelling into the power of language to construct meaning and shape perceptions. Researchers who are using discourse analysis use various methods to conduct the discourse analysis. They try to seek to understand how discourse and power interrelate. They focus on the rhetorical force in that is there in the language. So choosing the right tool according to the kind of text, the kind of discourse that you are analyzing is very important. In certain context, you use conversation analysis where you analyze the turn taking in conversation, everything. And in certain cases, discourse analysis will be conducted across text. They try to compare and contrast different genres, periods, and styles. Then perspectives and analytical focus, different perspectives such as feminist or post-colonial, all these are studied. They also may also explore gender, race, or power structures in text based on their chosen domain. Now, outside knowledge also appears to be quite important regarding discourse analysis. Discourse analysis is not just only a standalone field, it often involves archival research, theoretical models, and cross referencing with other texts. Power relations in is quite important in discourse because discourse analysis try to unveil how language reflects power relations. Discourse functions as a site where meanings are temporarily fixed in specific ways. In this context, the theories of Michel Foucault appears to be quite important regarding the connection between discourse, power, and knowledge. Now, another significant concern of discourse analysis is regarding the legitimacy of discourse. The question is who determined what is legitimate and what is not. Discourse analysis of discourses often set boundaries of legitimacy, says this is right, this is wrong. So it shapes what is considered acceptable or credible knowledge. So understanding this dynamic in discourse is quite crucial for discourse analysis. I mean, the dichotomy between the power knowledge. Discourse analysis uncovers these power dynamics, the kind of power dynamics in politics, no, in academics, everything we are quite familiar. So how a particular discourse is analyzed. Researchers focus on certain aspects such as the meaning ascribed to different elements and often struggles within a discourse. Different patterns are identified in text, the variation, systematic absence in text, all these are studied. The patterns can be lexical, grammatical, or semantic. Then analyzing both individual text and large collections of text. Such part of text are marked using different colors, and they are analyzed and examined. Then another method used in discourse analysis is computer-aided discourse analysis. Computer tools enable systematic analysis, especially with a large section of text. It is a time-consuming activity, but proficiency in software tools, data handling, and information structuring, all these will be quite significant regarding the way in which you can apply discourse analysis. So, to conclude, discourse analysis reveals the intricate relationship between language, power, and knowledge. It provides insight into the past struggles and ideological dispositions evident in text. Acquiring these skills enhances research capacity and prepare researchers for future endeavors. That's all. Thank you. Thank you so much for your patient listening.